So thank you so much for being here. What we're trying to do initially, do a series of talks to understand those differences.
So my feeling is, Christianity, you didn't talk much about it, but my feeling is that Christianity is basically, it didn't bring anything new, except something which was very harmful. And this harmful thing is that it claims that it alone is true. And I remember I was it's a birthday of my mother, 95th birthday, and the priest was there. And he said, "Oh, I never see you in church." So I said, "I have one request, or I have one problem in church. And this is that it claims that everybody has to follow it." And he couldn't say much, no? He didn't, because he cannot give it up. So I really felt it was a very clever thing of Christianity to claim this, because it is controlling us. And now it loses its control because people don't believe it anymore. And now Islam has much more control still, because it has this heresy law and people are frightened, and church was also working with fear, but now it cannot use this fear anymore so much. So people leave Christianity in the West, but they push it very strongly in India, unfortunately. So I just I was wondering this aspect that Mark Twain once said, religion was born when the first con man met the first fool. Maybe you have heard.
Lovely, lovely. Let's start our conversation today with that. Namaskar, my name is Purnima. With us today, we have wonderful speaker. I'd like to welcome Maria Wurtzji for the first time. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from India at this late hour. And we have our favorite Arif Aajakia ji. He is always there for conversation. We love to hear what he has to say all the time. It brings tremendous amount of insight. And Adi ji, there's no introduction is enough for him. He's a wonderful author and a priest, and trying to imbibe the teachings of Hindu Shastras in United States for quite a while. And thank you so much for everybody for being here today. And our discussion is a continuum of what we have talked before. The topic is Indic versus Abrahamic ideologies. In part 2, we'll get right to it. And Maria ji, last time we didn't have the perspective of Christianity. So if you would like to enter some of those thoughts, go for it. And we discussed, in short, we discussed what God is, what soul is, what is karma, what is the idea of Eastern versus Middle Eastern, I would say, ideologies, and some differences of thoughts in terms of what happens after death and etc. So that's, in short, that's what we have discussed. So today I was hoping we start with a topic called idolatry. So unfortunately, what we see in the West, that idolatry is seen way. So I would actually ask Adiji to start our session today with your thoughts on this particular topic.
Thank you, and I'm in a very distinguished gathering. I have great respect for Arif ji and great respect for Maria. Both are doing wonderful, wonderful work. And Purnima ji, most dhanvats and a lot of respect for you for doing this today's session. I'll start with the Bhagavad Gita. See, so the biggest problem with the even Sanatan Dharma practitioners is that understanding what is the difference between the idol and a deity. So if you look at the Hindu culture, avyakta vyaktim mapannam, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says very easily, he says, it's easy for person to view me, easy for a human being, Manushya, to see me as a person. And so the deity is called, in Sanskrit, is called Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha means a form which can accept our worship. That's called Archa Vigraha. So then that is the concept in Sanatan Dharma, and that concept is from the beginning of creation. Like for example, very common example is even today, Mahatma Gandhi is not there, but Mahatma Gandhi's murtis are created, and some other people may not be there, but their symbols are created and people worship them. And if somebody says idolatry is only Hinduism, but there is a church cross, there is a stone in Kaaba, so those are also idols. But the difference between that and Archa Vigraha is Archa Vigraha is exactly made as per the Archa Vigraha is made as per the I don't know whether you can see me or not. Can you see me? Yeah. Archa Vigraha is made as per the descriptions in the Shastra. Like even the nose, ears, eyes, eyebrows, lips, everything is accurately mentioned. And based on that, the murti is created. And then through mantra, it is invited that you accept or worship. Then it becomes Archa Vigraha. So actually, idolatry is not there in Hindu Dharma, because once the Archa Prana Pratishtha is done, it is as good as a person. And if you look at all the ancient temples in India, the properties are owned by the main deities. Look at Jagannath Mandir, the property is owned by Jagannath. If you look at any temple, Padmanabhan Mandir, or even a Murugan Mandir, any mandir you see, the property is made in their name. They are as good as person. And people have seen miraculous impacts on going to those places. So, Archa Murti Puja or idolatry, the accusation of idolatry against Hinduism is factually not correct. But when they accuse us, like I always say, when you accuse somebody, you have three fingers pointing at yourself. You put one finger at somebody else, three fingers at you, and one thumb up, which is towards the God. So all three are you're accusing everybody. So when they accuse us or Sanatana Dharma practitioners idolatry, they're actually accusing themselves three times more, and one times their own God also.
Maria ji, I'd like to hear from your side what is in the Christian belief that is so derogatory about idolatry.
They are very derogatory about Hindu Dharma, about Hindu idolatry, but Christianity themselves, they have also idols. In the sense, I was quite surprised that I saw once in the newspapers there was an exhibition in a small town in Bavaria in Germany, and they showed the dolls, puppets, which are given to the nuns when they enter the monastery. And they have a doll of Jesus, and they look after him, they dress him, they treat him like a baby. So it was new for me that it's like Krishna. No? So when you have some have Krishna as a child, as beloved, sort of. And so I was very surprised to hear this. Also in Germany, when I was once there, my mother watches on Sunday mornings the priest talking. And there he was telling about angel. We should worship angel again. We should take them as real. And this was also kind of new. And when I was a child, of course, we were told, make some room for next to you because the angel is sitting there. So you are guardian angel. No? So this, I feel, whatever is a little good in the church, it was there already before. It was already I mean, Christianity, when you grow up in Christianity, you think that 2000 years is eternal. I mean, 2000 years is such a long time. And 2000 years ago, yes, it was possible that God sent his son down. Now it would not be possible, no? But 2000 years, it was long, long time. So as if the world started. And before there's very hazy things. There was Abraham and Moses. And then 6,000 years ago, the earth was created, Adam and Eve. So it is a very strange thing. No? So I feel they have taken so much, even the idea of Jesus, to worship Jesus because it was first not clear, is he son of God or son of man? And then it was decided at a council, he is son of God. Okay. So, but to have a perfect a kind of guide or guru who is a kind of whom you worship is also taken from like a human person like Ram or Krishna, no? in Hindu Dharma. Even the birth of Jesus is at midnight also, and the children were killed, and so many things that I really feel they took a lot from what was here already, but they made a very harmful addition. And this addition was everyone has to believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and he died for your sins. And if you don't believe it, you go to hell. So this I feel was a big harm, which has caused so much bloodshed over the world.
Mariji, I'll come back to you, this question that I have in mind as you spoke about in terms of council, but I'd like to hear, before we go there, I'd like to hear Arif ji, tell us about Islam perspective on this. Why is it looked down upon like that?
Well, I'm quite near to Hindu Dharam these days, and I speak with many yogis and Pandits, and I asked them that what is this idol worship in Hindu Dharam. He said nobody is stupid to think that we are worshipping these stone-made idols. It is the God behind that. The idol of a god, for example, idol of Shiv, we are worshipping Shiv. We are not worshipping that stone. But we give respect to that stone because it gives us a shape of God. So basically every religion has this. Now when I go to Kaaba, on right side of Kaaba there is a black stone. We call it Hajre Aswad. What is that? That is a kind of Shivlinga. Because Shivlinga is also a black stone. And this stone, we pray 5 times a day and we do meditation in every prayer towards that black stone. So if you call it an idol worshipping, no, because we, the Muslim, worship God, Allah, and we call this black house, Khana Kaaba, house of God. And we worship in front of that, the way Hindus worship in front of Durga or Shiv or Ramji or anyone. Similarly, in Christianity, in every church you will find idols of Jesus, Mother Mary, and all these. So it is not that they are worshipping that stone-made idol. In fact, they are worshipping Jesus or giving respect to Mother Mary or and so on. So my perspective is that it is misunderstood, and especially Muslims have spoken negatively and calling Hindus as idol worshipping. Hindus, when they worship that idol, they are worshipping the great persona behind that idol. So this is the difference. Here I would, when Maria was speaking about Christianity, I would say one thing, that religions, more or less, the messenger of a religion always gives a good message. But the problem comes when it is politicized and the religion is used as a political tool. Now, Jesus, he came for oppressed people. He spoke, he struggled for oppressed people. He spoke and struggled against the powerfuls who were exploiting common people. Same thing with Hindu gods. They worked for common people and they tried to bring better life for common people. And same thing happens whenever a messenger of God or a religion comes up. It is only problem when it is used as a politics. Now, for example, Muslims, they invaded entire world. They went to Spain in Europe. They went in on eastern side until Indonesia and everywhere. These were stories of horrific barbarism on the name of Islam. They invaded, they converted people by force, and those who did not convert, they were put under jizya. For example, when second time Muslim captured Jerusalem, Salahuddin Ayyubi. Now, Salahuddin Ayyubi, when he captured Jerusalem, he asked everyone to convert to Islam. If you don't convert, leave the city. But you cannot leave the city like this. You have to pay 2 dinar for one person. And the ones who could not pay 2 dinar had to become slave, to be sold in the market. Now, this is barbarism on the name of Islam. Same thing happened when Christian missions went to South America and Africa. And they used Christianity, the religion of peace, as a tool. The expansionist forces, the invaders. And problem comes at that time. So religion should, or now today, we find the most prosperous countries are Christian countries. They are secular, but majority of the population is Christian. Why? Because they brought out politics from the religion. They said that religion is your personal issue. You believe on any God, that is your issue. You go to church, you go to mandir, you go to masjid, that is your problem. State has nothing to do that. For state, every subject is equal, irrespective of their caste, creed, culture, and religion. So this should be the way forward. Every state should discard politicization of religion. And politics should be apart from religion. Now, in India, we never find an example that Indians invaded anywhere on the name of religion. They never invaded for religion. They went to Indonesia. The Chola dynasty ruled all over Southeast Asia. But they did not do it on the name of religion. Shivaji Maharaj, he conquered entire India almost. He went until Kabul. But he did not convert anyone by force, because in Hinduism there is no conversion. You are born Hindu, or you do ghar vapsi, you return to your original dharam. But you don't convert, you don't send missions like Tablighi Jamaat of Muslims and missions of Christianity. You don't send these things to convert people. So Hindus always kept religion away from their politics. They practiced in their day-to-day life very religiously. But politics was always apart. So this should be the way, secularism. Otherwise, religion is an important thing in everyone's life, but it should be a personal issue. My relationship with Purnima ji or Aditya ji or Maria should not be based on the religion. It should be based on humanity. That we respect each other, mutual respect, whatever religion we follow. So this was my point.
I think Arif ji said a wonderful thing over here. In short, humanity and secularism is Hinduism. So let's move on to the next question I have, taking from the earlier conversation. Maria ji, you mentioned about council decided Jesus was son of God. Tell us about that.
Actually, I am not a scholar also. Like, I know there were several councils where it was decided. One council in 551 or 52 in Constantinople, it decided, for example, that the belief in rebirth must be given up. Nobody must believe any longer in the rebirth, because rebirth was spread at that time. And so also there was in the beginning this question, is Jesus son of man or son of God? And at the council, I think in 300 somewhere, it was decided that he is son of God, to kind of make it more religious. In fact, I feel I have a problem with this term religion, because why do we need this religion? I think it showed up first about 1,000 years ago, and it was first used for Christianity. And why religion? I mean, from religare, from Latin, I felt it means to bind back or to bind again. So I used to be very charitable and think maybe it means to bind to God. But why does it need a special word? I mean, Jesus or Christianity or would be enough. No? So I felt, because the church was the first who started right after it got power in Rome and became state religion, it started first to spread all over Middle East, North Africa. It went into Europe. Europe fell back. It went again into Europe in 800 when Charles the Great, I don't know how you call him in English, Karl der Große, when he was refusal of baptism was under death sentence. If you refused to get baptized, you would be killed. When he, when he went to Saxonia and expanded his empire. And there's a nice episode I read in my uncle was a priest, so I had a good library about history of church. So his advisor, Alcuin by name, he said to him, you can force him for baptism, but how can you force him to believe? But unfortunately, after the first generation, I mean, it is very unnatural to believe something blindly for a human being, my impression. So it doesn't make sense that God has only one son and he sent him 2,000 years ago and he died for our sins. And whoever does not believe it, he will go to hell eternally. This great compassionate God will send great chunk of people to hell eternally, even if they, I mean, earlier it was even like this, if they never heard of Jesus, they would be sent to hell. And after the Second Vatican Council, they kind of mellowed it a little bit and said, if you have never heard of Jesus and you lived a good life, then you can also go. You will not be damned. But that would mean that all the missionaries should immediately stop to tell about Jesus. If they would have some compassion for us, no? Because they know that not everybody converts. But they keep telling, and that means now that we are damned because we heard of him and we don't accept him as our savior. And according to church, you have to believe this. So this belief is not easy, but second generation, third generation, it gets into children. And when you grow up with this indoctrination, as a child, you believe what the grown-ups tell you. And you are also frightened. You are frightened of hell. And I remember this as a child very, very strongly, that I really was frightened of hell. And so I feel the church, it works with fear. Now, when we go to our time now, we have this media is so strong controlling us. They want to make us all march into one direction. And at that time, I feel 2,000 years ago, 1,700 years ago, the church had an ideal method to make mind control, basically. They said, you have to believe it, because it is a word of God. God has said it. We cannot know. And even if somebody doubts, I remember in school when we said, is there a God? Really? How do we know it's true? And he said, look, even if there's no God, okay. But if there is a God, 50-50, then isn't it safer to believe in him? You know, you don't want to risk to go to hell. So just believe. And for us, when I was in Europe still, it was basically God meant Christian God. We did not hear about Brahman or anything. No? So when I lost faith in Christian God, so for most of us, we throw out not only Christianity, but also God. And that makes us very lost somehow. Because ultimately there must be something, no? But we don't really know what. And here India has this great answer. And I feel in India, it's not religion, it is a lot of history. We have a long history. It goes back to 2 billion years when this day of Brahman started, basically. And you have the Manvantaras, and I mean a long history. So it's mixed with history and philosophy, which is in the Vedas, which is given together with the universe. And your Dharma, Hindu Dharma, it wants to free human beings. It wants to bring out the divine in them. It wants to bring out the best in them. Whereas Christianity, it wants to hold us back. It wants to make us fearful and make us into sheep, basically.
A lot of information here for digesting for somebody who's not who's hearing for the first time. So I just want to quickly summarize. It's word of God, fear of hell, extremely binding, and people don't want to experience the hell. Hence, you have to believe what has been told, and everything is man-made. This is what is happened. This is what has happened in the last 2,000 years. Let's say. Did I summarize it okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We do have a topic that we will discuss. Is Hinduism a religion? There's so much of conversation going on. Is Hinduism a religion? Is it a culture? Is it a civilization? So a lot of people are confused what it is. Now, the English term of religion is certainly confusing in terms of the dharma, and it doesn't really jibe. But at the same time, the faith aspect is also part of it. But I would think that's going to probably take us to the next conversation we have. But Adiji, Maria ji has mentioned something that I had it in my note to talk about reincarnation and rebirth. Why it makes sense logically as well as from the entire perspective of the universe also. And then we'll come back on the debate stage of why it's been rejected on the other religion.
So a good point here. And before we start, I'll just point one more. Should I answer your question of whether it's a religion or a culture?
Let's do that. If you'd like, I think it's a good question, and there's a lot of confusion about it.
So in Sanatana Brahma Yamala Purana, in which land between Himalaya and Hindu Mahasagar, those people are called Hindu. Now Hindus stretch from Parsi. Parsi is a Mahabharata term. I've written a whole book on that, Yudhishthir, the greatest Samrat, where Parsi is the ancient name of Iran today. Iran, Iraq, Armenia, Kazakhstan, these are known as Parsi Desh, where later on, so from Parsi Desh right till the end of Burma, and so between Himalaya and Vindhyachal, and to Hindu Saga is called Hindu, generally is a Hindu Rashtra, so that is there. Now coming to a religion, is it a religion or is it a culture or a way of life? Now when Indian politicians talk that Hinduism is a way of life, it really hurts my heart, because Sanatan Dharma is based on Shruti and Smriti. And the Shruti is the axiomatic truth, like which cannot be changed. And Smriti is like Purana and Itihas. All those Puranas are called Smriti, which is in line with the philosophy of Shruti, cannot be changed, but it is a recording of current events. Like for example, Satyug, there are 4 yuga, and time is always cyclical. Because when people say time is not cyclical, I said then tomorrow should never be 8 o'clock. It's over today. It's done. So tomorrow should never be 8 o'clock. But tomorrow, next day also we have 8 o'clock in the morning. So that means in our current experience it is cyclical, because sun is rising and sun is setting. That's why the Ayu is calculated. Now, so coming to this, Hinduism is both, or Sanatan Dharma is both a way of life as well as a religion, in a way where a book is followed. Like for example, Sanatan Dharma is very popular book called Pancharatrika, which every temple follows, everybody follows. And there is a Yoga Sutra, which everybody follows. So where you have to get up in the morning and perform certain things. Then in the afternoon, it's called Sandhya Upasana, morning Sandhya, afternoon Sandhya, evening Sandhya. So this Sandhya is there. But in Kali Yuga, the process changes. Krite yadhyayato Vishnum tretayam jito makhe dwapari paricharayam kalau tadhari kirtanat. And what it means is, Satyuga, the process is dhyan, because there is no iPhone during that time, iPhone or Android. Okay, so people can do more meditation. Tretayam yajdo makhe. In Treta Yuga, the abundance. Yajna requires a lot of money, a lot of wealth. And you don't, for yajna, you need a lot of endeavor. Abhi Kalyug mein kiske paas samay hai? Who has the time in Kalyuga? So the religious process changes with the time. Dwapari Paricharyayam. In Dwapar Yuga, beautiful temples were made, huge temples were made. You can see records of huge temples. Even, I did a book in my One Arrow One Kill, where I proved that where the Sindhu Nadi meets the Sindhu Sagar, there was a huge temple of almost 100 square miles. That was in Somnath Giri, which is today in Sindh, Pakistan. Huge temple was there. And today the city in Pakistan known as Karachi was a Rishi Pulasthya ashram. Huge Pulasthya ashram used to be there. Now the point is Dwapari Paricharyam. That is the point of worshipping. Now Kalauta Dhari Kirtan in Kali Yuga, everybody is distracted. Everybody is like now Maria ji said a few minutes ago that in Kali Yuga media is very powerful, and it troubles us on a daily basis. And so Kali Yuga, that is the process. So therefore the process changes every time throughout the 4 ages. Now coming to your point on the main question that you asked me for this session, I took a cue from your last question. So what was the specific question for this round you have?
Reincarnation and the rebirth.
Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Yes. So now reincarnation is such a logical thing. Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yoganam jara. We see our own bodies. When we were a small baby, we had a picture. And today, if you take that picture to your passport office and say, this is me, look at this, I have the same blood group, this is my mother and father, but you have a big beard on your face like me, I have. And they'll say, they'll never let me pass through the passport gate, because they'll say, you're not the same person. So within this body, we are changing our forms. Once we were a small baby, we are young people, and now we are not so young people. We are middle-aged now. So when we go to so within this body, we have changed. So now, tatha dehantar praptir dhiras tatra numuyati. Now, a logical mind will say, if A is equal to B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. It's a scientific analogy thing. So tatha dehantar praptir. Similarly, when your time is up, you die, then the soul moves on to next body. And people have researched, and I think people are wasting so many dollars on research on this topic. But there are a lot of scientific studies. More than 3,500 cases have been studied that where they said that reincarnation is an established fact. And one time there was a very famous philosopher. He was asked, where did Jawaharlal Nehru take birth? And somebody replied to him, some astrologer said, according to my calculation, he was born as a dog in Sweden. So it's a funny part, but I'm just saying, that reincarnation is a scientific fact. Many logical Americans believe in it, and it's not that everybody follows the church. Church may say whatever they want, but it's a scientific thing because it's built on analogy.
So, Arif ji, why is it disregarded and rejected in Islam?
Well, we also believe in reincarnation, but we go to an afterlife. Now, for example, we are taught that after dying, our soul is traveling towards heavens, sky, and then there God will decide either my deeds take me to paradise or hell. Now, here, being a Muslim, I was a rebel always, and that's why I had to leave my country. Because in Islamic society, the biggest problem is that you cannot ask a question because they don't have answers to many questions. And I used to ask questions. So my parents were always afraid that somebody will kill you. So they always wanted me to leave the country. And my bad luck that after leaving Pakistan, I went to Saudi Arabia. There it was a bigger crime. And I used to fall in problems there also. So my brother-in-law advised me that go to free society, go to Europe. And there nobody is going to ask you anything and you can put your questions how you want. I came to Europe and I'm blessed to have a French citizenship. France gave me their citizenship and right to live here. In France, when I was living, I used to get publicity papers in my post box, in my house box. And there were some publicities of cabaret. And there they used to say that come to our cabaret, you will have beautiful girls without clothes. You will have champagne will be served to you. These girls will serve you champagne and you will have your one night very beautiful. And I started thinking that what our mullah, priest of Islam, they do the same publicity. They do good deeds, and God will give you wine or alcohol, and there will be 72 virgins waiting for you there without clothes. And our mullah gives description of the body of the horse in details. This part, what you will do, how you will do. She will be like this on a lake of alcohol, and you will be like a. I mean, and a rebel like me started thinking that what the hell? What is this? Billy Maher, he says that uh, presenting a girl or alcohol in afterlife is the lowest part of any religion. So this is what Islam offers you. And there I started questioning things. Now Quran, they say it is a book of Allah. Allah, creator of universe, God, this, that. Then why Quran says that women have half intelligence? Why women have two witnesses in court, two women witnesses equal to one man witness? Why? Why this injustice with 50% of the people? If God has created both men and women. Now my father died. When the division of inheritance, my sisters got half than my share. Why this injustice? Why a man can marry 4 women and a woman cannot? Why a woman, when gets divorced, she has to go through halala to get remarried to that man? Now think about Elizabeth Taylor. She got married with Richard Burton again. She had to go through halala. Why? Woman has to suffer always. So I had these kind of questions against my own religion. I still say that I am Muslim. But then clear these things. Why so much injustice when God is Munsif? They call in Quran, there are 99 names of God. So one name is justice, one name is kind, one name is merciful. How can he be merciful if he is giving women half rights? If he calls that women are a commodity, in Quran it is written that woman is your farm where we do farming. So woman is a farm of a man. You can bring your tractor how you want on a woman. Now this is Quran's exact words. So these are the issues. Now reincarceration, again I will come. For me in Islam, I don't know how Christians, they also have hell and paradise, but they are praised, they don't present it as a cabaret. The way our Muslim priests present. So my issue is that I believe that there is no afterlife. Whatever life is in this world, you make it hell or paradise. Otherwise, how it is a justice that I do every bad thing in my life, but paradise is guaranteed to me because I say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, I am a Muslim. Paradise is guaranteed no matter how many bad things I do. But Maria or Purnima or Adiji are not guaranteed no matter how many good things you have done, serving your entire life to humanity. But because you did not say La ilaha illallah, because you are not Muslim, you will never go to paradise. So this is, I mean, now when I last week, it was Ramzan here. So a very good friend of me from Pakistan, he's a very religious person. And he called me and he said that, Arif bhai, you are talking blah, 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 blah. How will you face Allah when you will die? I said, who told you that I will face Allah? Maybe I will face Shiv Shankar. Shiv Shankar. Why? There is only one Allah. Maybe I will not go there. I will go to Shiv Shankar. Maybe he will be merciful to me. So this is the point of view.
Very funny. Arif ji is also from Karachi, Aditya, just so you know. So he actually was part of the Rishi's homeland. Unfortunately, it's no longer existing at this point. Maria ji, what would you say in this topic of reincarnation rejected by Christianity? Why so?
I think it was also clever because how can you have this eternal hell after one life? You would get another chance, so you could experiment. But if you have only one life, you better stick to the church, what the church tells you. So I think this may have been the reason why they cut down this belief in rebirth. But I remember when I was in school, in boarding school, we had often debates among us girls. How can God be so unfair, so unjust? Because there was a film also at that time. It was about the baby which was aborted, or I don't remember. I didn't see the film, but it died before it was baptized. And we were thinking now, does it really go to hell? But what is its fault? And so, I mean, this, even as children, we were like maybe 13, 14 years old at that time. No? So, but afterwards, I really felt rebirth makes so much sense. Because there has to be some source from which everything comes. And when I say Hindu Dharma makes complete sense to me, this it started already, a taste of Hindu Dharma, when I was reading in school once on physics that scientists have discovered that all is one energy. And my reaction at that time was, that means there is a God. Because I had already started to doubt Christianity. My school friends, they told me, we had once a reunion. I don't remember, but they told me I was the only one who always would debate with a priest in class. I had questions. But I doubted. And I was on my way to become an atheist, basically. But then when I heard this physics, it somehow made sense to me. There is one thing spread out all over from which everything comes. And this must be what is meant by God. When I came to India, that's exactly what is Brahman.
It's interesting that you mentioned that rebirth rejected its a clever tactics to make sure that people are fearful enough to stick to the church. And
Was a church.
that makes sense. So over the years, anybody ask a question to the church or the highest official, how does it even make sense in terms of somebody is born in a poor family and somebody is born in a rich family, somebody is dying young, somebody is dying old, but hasn't really accomplished much, all these things. Why is it that some people go through different experiences even in the same family? What is the answer to that? I'd like to understand. 2000 years passed that we now have a new calendar after Jesus Christ. Has nobody asked this question before? And I'm sure it has. And what was the answer?
Like in the Bible, there's one example that there is this blind man sitting by the roadside, and Jesus passes, and his apostle ask him, is it his fault or is the parents' fault? And that means at that time still there was rebirth. No? But he says neither his nor the parents, but that the glory of God may be known, and he made him see again. No? So this is a story. But I don't think the church is asked really. The church tells us, look, this earth is a veil of misery. You have to go through this veil of misery. And everybody has a different station, but you have just to hold on and go through this. But at the end, if you believe in Christ and if you follow him, and then you will have eternal, blissful, happy life. So this is what I said, very good way of keeping people down. Like every ruler would like such people, no? So who just wait for, accept that it is not so nice here, but we have to go through this. And the more I suffer, even the more God will be pleased. And there are even people who kind of harm themselves, put the nails into their hands, or to have the same suffering like Jesus. And the suffering is very strong in the church. And so this, it is maybe. But I had once, I made an interview once with a professor of Delhi University on rebirth. And he was working together with Virginia University, Ian Stevenson. And he had so many interesting cases that you cannot really doubt that there is rebirth. The cases which he solved and where he found the person which the child claimed that he was. So, and Christians, I think Christianity in the West has given up to make Christian again. My feeling almost is they want Islam in Europe because Islam still has the power to keep us down. And, or I don't know. But many Christians believe now in rebirth, I think. Not the majority, but in America you said 25%. It makes very much sense.
Yeah.
So for Islam, Arif ji, I believe it's the same thing, right? In terms of keeping a control over the people, and there is just the eternal suffering of hell. You have to believe in Allah, otherwise you are doomed. right?
Yes.
That's pretty much it. Okay, so perhaps we'll find some documentation going forward, some research or something trying to connect the dot why somebody is born with all the talents but cannot have a successful life at all, not dying poor, let's say. Somebody has no talent but gibberish and gossips and all kinds of stuff, but they are successful. So it's what is it that driving in the world? That answer should come from karma, reincarnation, and the past lives and etc. The connection is there. I'm sure there will be something in the future. So I want to ask one question to Adiji. You mentioned earlier about prana pratishtha. I don't know if everybody understands that, what it means in the idol perspective. Enlighten us. One is prana pratishtha for the idols that is placed in temples.
So, see, in whenever in Sanatan Dharma, when a deity is welcomed, first of all, the deity or the murti, murti is called, murti is different than idol, because the English word idol makes it ideal or even idiot. Both words come from the same Latin source. So the pran pratishtha means, pran means life, and in that particular, with the process, so first of all the murti has to be made in accordance with the descriptions mentioned in Vedic scriptures, and then through specific mantras the deity is invoked, is welcomed into that place. It can be made of wood, it can be made of steel, gold, any metal, it doesn't matter, from earth. And then that person is respected, and you'll see that many ancient temples of India, they made deities of gold or brass or silver or stone, sometimes wood, and then and it is said that they now represent, and through them you worship that deity. Like if it is Ganesh Murti, if it is set up in a temple, so now Ganesh, we know, is the son of Shiva and Parvati. So through the Ganesh deity Archa Vigraha, you worship Ganesh as a son of Shiva and Parvati. And that logic is given in Bhagavad Gita, that it is because we have eyes, so we have to see something tangible, and therefore we have to see. So if we do not see it, we cannot worship it, we cannot pray it, we cannot feel it. So, but in addition to that, you have to chant the mantra so that you can connect. So sound, so it's such a scientific thing, deity worship, Archa Vigraha, Pran Pratishtha, that through sound, through feel of touch, through smell, we offer good things to them. And so all our senses are engaged in serving that particular deity. The whole thing becomes very scientific. And the second thing which comes to the thing is karma. So there is a yajna karma, there is a puja karma. So all these karma are also connected with the deity. So now you cook something at home. Now, since you know that person is living as per the science, so whatever you cook at home, you can offer to him. You cannot offer to a window. The window is not living because you have not done pran pratishtha, or you cannot offer to a floor. So then accordingly the whole body gets engaged in serving them and also protecting them. So wherever the temples are set up, those temples are the residences also of those deities. Now some very foolish people, they said, if the deity was not able to protect itself, why that means the deity has no power. Such a foolish answer. That deity is there to receive your service. It is your duty to protect the deity, and that's how you serve him. And when you serve him, then you get credits, karma, pious karma, like the punya karma, we call Sanskrit punya karma. And and that's how you advance in your karma, because everything is karma. Karma philosophy is number one. Without karma there is no dharma. People can sit in the home and then chant all the time, but if they don't do actions in according to their faith, that means there is no progress. Or if you work, they work against the faith, it's called vikarma, which goes against the faith. I have written a whole book on that. Once upon a time I was going to the Atlanta airport, and two women were fighting. and they were accusing each other, karma is a bitch, karma is a bitch. And they were both trying to tell each other that God is going to see you. So one of my book is titled Karma is a Bitch. So, and in that I have explained the whole cycle, that how the karma can lead to better destinations. So pran pratishtha is a way to do good karma so that you can go higher destinations. And if you don't do that, then there are lower destinations also. But it all depends on your karma.
And we last time we discussed a couple of things about the hell and heaven and the layers of it, but obviously we couldn't hear from the Christian perspective. Maria ji, do you have anything on that aspect perhaps? What is heaven and what is hell described in the Christianity perspective, or understanding from being born as a Christian? What have you picked up the ideology is about? Would be an interesting insight for us.
Well, for me, it's more actually interesting the Hindu view, but just in brief, the Christian view, what I understood is that heaven, of course, is heaven. The angels are there, and there is you are near to God, and then there's also a kind of in between heaven and hell, when you are not as bad to go forever to hell. Then you are in a kind of in between fire. You are scrubbed and cleaned, and then you can go to heaven, or you are really bad and you go to hell. And but what I find so fascinating when also when Aditya talked about Prana Pratishtha and so on, like what these different lokas in Hindu Dharma. I mean, even in Christianity and in Islam, I think also you speak of the seventh heaven, no? The highest heaven. This must also be taken from India.
Correct.
Because you know, the seven
Right.
lokas, and
Yeah.
and the three lokas, which is our kind of
That's right.
bhumi. Yeah. So I find this very fascinating that the gods, which in Hindu Dharma, which we also worship, that they are basically created, not created, but they are like us in the sense Brahman is the original unmanifest, invisible potential, great potential, which has Shakti in himself. And when Shakti stirs and the gunas start, and then from the gunas, I think, are first, you would know, and then this Sri Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Shiva come. So this is and from there I find I'm reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I find it so fascinating. I can't believe that in these ancient times, like the talk between Kapila and his mother Devahuti, I mean, what depth is there? It is incredible. I read it, and then I go on, and then I open it again, and I forgot again, and it's so very deep. It's and how did they know it? Also, I feel, how did they know that there are planets? I keep asking this question. We cannot know it if we are stationed on Earth. So when they talk of Shiva Loka, or when they talk of the different lokas, it means this universe, we are not just limited to this Earth only, but there's a connection. I mean, it may sound very strange, but I am very sure also, like these temples, like Kailash Mandir, who could have made it? We never ask this question. I mean, why don't we inquire? It cannot be made even today, I'm convinced. Can we do it today? So there are so many miracles. How do we know that Mercury, Venus, I mean, Buddha, Buddha and Shukra, or the Indian names? No? So how do we know that these lights, we can watch the sky for ages and not know that one is a planet and one is a star? We cannot know. So who who told us? And when you open Wikipedia, when you look in Wikipedia, it says who discovered the planets. They say Uranus discovered Pluto. And then it says the 5 planets are known in Mesopotamia. They will never mention India. It is always only Mesopotamia. They were known in Mesopotamia already 3,000 years ago. Now, nobody talks even about Turkey, this Göbekli Tepe temple complex, which was discovered. You may have heard.
Yes.
There was, have you heard of it? Which is
Yes.
supposed to be 12,000 years old. And even there are these astrological signs which are in Hindu temples also in India. Then we have to trash our ancient history. And we don't do it. And if somebody has to challenge the Western history, it is Hindus. Because we Christians, we are very intent that no temple of Hindus is older than 1,000 years. And you hear every temple 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. We will maybe this Göbekli Tepe was discovered by chance, more or less, because the original team, they had excavated in the 60s, and then they closed it, thinking, oh, that is just a graveyard. And one of these excavators, archaeologists, a German, he went back in the 90s, I think, and then he discovered a huge temple complex with many, many different temples. So, and nobody talks about it. And I feel, when I sometimes suggest these things, and Indians, Hindus tell me, we cannot, don't say these things, they think we are mad or whatever. But that is all a guess, and they put these very complicated names like Paleoanthropy or I don't know the names of these ancient periods, so that it sounds very scientific and nobody will ask because we don't know. So I feel this is all a ruse, and history is very, very different, and it will very much put in place also Christianity and Islam because they come so late in history.
Maria, just Purnima, I'll add one thing. So what you are saying is so correct. So it was the word mythology itself was coined to undermine the Vedic histories, everything, that it is fake, it has no basis. And the third canto, which you are referring to, Bhagavatam, third canto, you are referring to, in that the Devahuti Kapila's discussion that you're talking about, and you pointed out very well, because in that discussion even the process of the birth of a child is explained, even the feelings of the child at each stage of the 9 months.
Incredible.
It's incredible. So the wealth of this information we have, and Wikipedia and Quora are the worst places for Hindus to search, because they are the biggest propaganda machines, and the copy editors over there, if you edit anything, they won't let you edit it also. So
Yeah.
I was forced to start sathology.org to debunk Wikipedia, so that we can write over there and we can comment over there, and this is a big strategy going on, and the truth is the biggest casualty here.
Yeah. For example, when you Google who proposed for the first time the Big Bang,
Right,
there's
exactly.
some Belgian priest or Hubble to come, Levier, some Belgian priest or Hubble. Somebody has read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then they have proposed all these theories. It's all like when
Copy paste.
400 years ago, in 1600 AD, Giordano Bruno was burned at the stake in Italy for claiming that the Earth is not the center.
Yes. And one of the things is, I ask people about the Big Bang. Have you seen anything constructive coming out of a blast? Has anyone seen, like, has a beautiful garden came from a blast? Have you seen that anywhere? No, it's a destruction. So how can this beautiful earth come out from a blast?
It cannot be by chance.
Purnima ji, over to
Interesting.
you. Yes.
Yes. Do you have anything, Arif ji, on this particular matter?
No,
Move on.
I more or less with both my honorable friends, especially the points presented by Aditya. Aditya is very valid. The last one, particularly, that different theories have come. This Darwin theory and Big Bang theory and all these theories. What I believe, uh, I was quite a different person about 2 years back. But when I started reading Bhagavad Gita, uh, things started changing in me. And first time I saw that a religious book, if we call it a religious, although I don't call Gita a religious book, it is a book of basic life and philosophy. It does not confine you to one religion. So when I started reading this, I got that this is the real message that it is giving, because Quran is only for Muslims. Quran's God Allah is merciful for only Muslims, and everything in Quran is the rights and everything is for Muslims. But when we read Gita, it says that you, no matter which God you believe in, no matter whom you worship, you have to be a good human being. Humanity is the basic point. Now, I have been working with United Nations since 1994. It's about 27 years. I The first thing in UN I learned was Universal Charter of Human Rights. But when I read Gita, I said that, oh, they have derived this Universal Charter of Human Rights from Gita, because it gives you, it asks you to protect your atmosphere, it asks you to protect climate, plants, life, life, no matter in what form, a man, woman, animal, fish, anything. So it started changing. When I started studying and making research, I found I won't go to Abrahamic religions, although they are quite close to each other, because it starts from Abraham and then his son, one son Isaac and one son Ismail. Muslims are from Ismail, and Jews came from Isaac and then Jacob and then Joseph and then like this. I would speak purely about Islam, that the rituals of Islam. Uh, we walk 7 times circling Khana Kaaba. Hindus do it to people. We worship Hajr Aswad, the black stone. Hindus Shiva Lingam. We do Hajj, pilgrimage. Hindus do Yatra. Now, whatever we are doing since 1,400 years. Hindus are doing since thousands of years. Now, last week, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan went to Saudi Arabia, and in his hand there was a tasbih like this.
Hmm.
We use that tasbih since 400 years. Hindus have Rudraksha since thousands of years. Hindus do birth, fasting. We also do fasting. So I started thinking that, hey, this is cut and paste all. This all comes from Hinduism, because religion, oldest religion is Hinduism. So I said, what is new in this Islam? Every concept, every ritual is derived from Hinduism. We make mazars. Mazar is a shrine. It is like a mandir. Mandirs are not only 1,400 years old. Mandirs are thousands of years old. So concept of every ritual in Islam, I found it's a copy paste from Hinduism. But still we say, Hindus are kafir and Hindus are this and Hindus are that. But we bring everything in Islam from Hinduism. So practically, after reading Gita, I'm not yet read it fully, but I'm learning it. And as you know, I have a YouTube channel, and I have a very good friend. He is a research scholar in India, Dr. Omendraji. And we are planning to start a part of Gita online once a week or once in 2 weeks, because I feel very bad when I see that such a beautiful book, and even Hindus are not reading it. Even children of Hindus are away from this beautiful book, while every Muslim forces their children to read Quran. So why not spreading words of Gita without any religion? You may worship Shiv Shankar, you may worship Allah, you may worship Jesus. But this book does not confine you to one God. This book gives you liberty, everything, until and unless you don't destroy your climate, your atmosphere, your surroundings, people around you. So this is basic. I think that as Adiji is a very learned person on this subject, I hope I will learn from him also some things about Gita, because he has a very vast study of Gita ji, and uh, it gives you many directions. Each time you will read, you will learn something new. And the biggest thing I found is that Bible is purely for the followers of Jesus. Quran is purely for the followers of Muhammad. Torah is purely for the followers of Moses. But Gita is for humanity.
Thank you. I think it's wonderful what you mentioned. I think one of the key things that you mentioned, Gita can be read by anybody from a humanity perspective. You don't have to confine, you don't have to discuss what your religion is, whatever you learned and implement in your life. Topic that just came out while we were discussing in terms of invention. I did a quick search. Who is the father of surgery? The first and second search came up with this: Al-Zarra, father of surgery, a Muslim doctor from medieval time frame. And then I went down, I looked up, and there was another Englishman called Joseph Lister, 1827 to 1912, father
Yeah,
of science. Then I went
incredible.
a little bit down, and there was something called American surgeon Philip Sick. I don't know how to say it. Phycsick, so psychic, something like that. I had to go to the next page to find out about Shushruta, which is 1200 BCE to 600 BCE. Tell me about this, what's happening, and why Shushruta doesn't even show up as a father of surgery. I'm just curious, is it just politics that's happening? Is trying to suppress the truth? What is going on that?
I would like to say something, just one point to Arif ji, what he said when you say Quran is only for Muslims, Bible is only for Christians, true. But is it not our duty, Muslims' duty and Christians' duty, to make everybody follow Quran or Bible? That is this is a crux basically of the belief. Because if these two religions give up this one claim, only this is true, everybody has to follow it, then they become just like one stream of Hindu Dharma, like Vaishnavites or those who follow Shakti or Shaivites. But this one point that you are asked, if you are a good Christian and you have a Hindu roommate, it happened to the daughter of friends of mine. She had a Christian roommate in college in Ahmedabad. And she tried so hard to convert her. And I told her, actually, you can even understand her because she is told that you will go to hell if you don't become Christian. And if she likes you, she would try to bring you across, no? And even with all kind of means she has. So this, how can we make people understand that the great one God, there can be only one, is not so partial that he loves only Christians, that he loves only Muslims? How can we make them understand that they give up this one claim which is so harmful? Because this, when you believe this, either you try to bring them across. Christianity is supposed to bring them across. Islam doesn't need even just if a Muslim knows that they know, they should come. If they don't come, then even I can kill them. It won't be my sin. Allah will maybe even reward me. So this attitude, it is the most dangerous attitude, and it is doing so much harm to humanity. And how can we bring people to understand, look, this cannot be the truth. You cannot say that I am inferior to you because I don't believe in Christ or I don't believe in Muhammad. This is so important. And even I was writing to a letter to Prime Minister. It didn't reach him. The Undersecretary closed it down. But I thought, can't India, or maybe if it's not the country, maybe some Hindu organization, or I don't know, can't we petition the United Nations that it is not acceptable that children are taught that Hindus are kafirs and heathen, that they are inferior, that they will burn eternally in hell, eternally. Huh? Can't we stop this nonsense? Muslim countries go to United Nations and keep saying, we want Islamophobia to be banned. Maybe, I think even Pakistan went, I'm not sure, Saudi Arabia, I heard once, OIC, but India is not saying anything. I can't understand this. Because, of course, up to 1947, you couldn't say much. But now you should at least say you have the most profound philosophy. You have the most ancient history. You have inspired the world so much. And yet you just say, we respect all religion, and you don't realize that they don't respect you back. They cannot respect you back if they believe what they are meant to believe.
See, all the religions are supported by their governments.
No, it's not. I don't think it. Now in Europe, governments are not very strongly Christian. I mean, they have
But
still.
Vatican is itself a government. So most of the religions have the backing of their governments, but
They have an institution. They have a strong institution with a lot of money.
yes,
But it is
institutions and say
in my
America is still a Judeo-Christian country, and whatever they may talk about secularism, it doesn't exist there. Sanatan Dharma is the only culture which is sustaining on itself. There is nobody supporting. Neither the Indian government is also not supporting it.
But we are going down. Can't you see? It's getting so dangerous. That's what I'm really worried. I mean, I love Hindu Dharma. I mean, I couldn't imagine how I would live my life if I would not have this trust.
There is a joke.
Yeah, I'm really worried. I mean,
see, the Sanatan Dharma is protected by Vishnu generally. He's the ultimate authority there.
But we
But
have to do our part.
But at the same time, it is the duty of human beings who are in power to take decisions to protect Sanatan Dharma globally. It is the duty of them. And unfortunately, the secularism has destroyed the essence of Sanatan Dharma in India, where the name secularism has almost become another synonym for atheism.
I feel a lack of honesty is there.
That is true, absolutely true.
Lack of honesty because we do not say the truth.
Yeah,
We
we do
should
not see
know
the
by
truth.
we should know by now what is Islam about and what is Christianity about, and we don't
A-
say. I
Absolutely,
mean,
because
yeah,
the truth is definitely not there, and the
this
reason
is
is the
powerful.
governments. Yeah, very harmful. The governments, they, many of the people, they claim to be Hindus, but they do not act on it, and somehow that is creating a lot of damage.
You can't blame Sen because for so long, even up to recently, the education was completely against Hindu Dharma.
Even
It
today, it
is,
is.
yeah. Even today it is.
Even today, it
But
is. Nothing has changed.
today we can speak out. I wrote an article maybe 10 years ago, and I compared the religion, and I showed it to a Hindu, older to me. He's married to a foreigner, and very gentle person, very soft spoken. He passed away meanwhile, and he said, "I didn't know one can say these things. It pained me. It was painful and simple because he was, they are still so fearful because, yeah, so much pain you suffered over the
It's
1,000
called
years.
it's the Stockholm syndrome. So first the Islamists attacked them, and then the Christians, the British rule attacked them severely, and
Yeah.
still they survived. The traditions of India still survived. But now, there is a joke over there. What 137 years of Mughal rule could not do, what 90 years of British could not do, television has done it. There's a joke over there.
It's
And
not a joke. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, we cannot be emotional about it. We have to do something about it. We cannot just cry and say what happened to Hindus. It is for Hindus to protect themselves. So,
No,
so
it's for
whatever.
being honest. We are not honest. I'm not crying. I feel we are not honest.
No, I understand what you're saying. We are not honest, but what to do about it now? So we have to see, the Sanatan Dharma is the most misunderstood concept, because in Sanatan Dharma has the four varna there. It is the duty of a teacher to produce a warrior, because if the warriors are not done, like for example, in one of my books, and I'm not trying to promote my book Purnimaji, but one of the books I wrote about the history of the world. It's the last book I released, One Arrow, One Kill, and in which the Ramayana is in every part of the world. The history of Ramayana in Valmiki is in every part of the world. And Sri Ram created a military force so huge that it was able to defeat Ravan. Now we have so many Ravans there, filled up in even some of the Hindus, in the name of the Hindu names, they are big Ravan and Kumbhakarna out there. And somehow the dharma says, whenever there is adharma, those people have to be militarily tackled. Narad Muni tells Yudhishthir that you spread Sanatan Dharma through Sena. That is in one of my second books, Narada, the Making of a Statesman, where this is what Narad Muni is saying. And your point is absolutely right, that Hindus are not honest. The reason why they're not honest, because they were never told their scriptures in the right way in the parampara. And so the biggest casualty for Hindus is the weakness of Hindus has come from Max Muller and Macaulay, which has been infiltrated in Jawaharlal Nehru University. In every single Indian college is Max Muller and Macaulay speaking. And especially I'm very scared of big bindis on the forehead in Bengal and other places, because those everyone who has a big bindi, Romila Thapar has a big bindi. Tell me, and Brinda Karat has a big bindi, and and all those big bindis have done the biggest damage, because when they open their mouth, and did you even know that Romila Thapar was a main historian of India, and has been ex Prime Minister of India who wrote a book called Bharat Ek Khoj. Like, that man could not discover India, and he's the Prime Minister of India. So, all these idiots were elected, and that's what we are seeing today. If you go to St. Stephen's College today in Delhi, what are you going to hear? Exactly what you are complaining about. And when you talk about honesty, because the reason honesty is not there, because they get their money through that dishonesty. It's all about the money. If they do not repeat what the college's curriculum say, they don't get their salary. It's a big cabal of academics, starting from US. And I can tell you, for example, Francis Clooney of Harvard Studies Department. He's a Christian archbishop teaching Hindu studies, commenting on Ramanujacharya. So I asked him one day question: aren't you a confused Christian? Because you're commenting more on Hindus than Christianity. So in the West, even the same problem is going to India. So the Hindus' dishonesty is actually Max Muller's gameplay right there.
I
And
think it's also a little not wanting to be controversial, because I was at two interfaith dialogues once, not participating, as watching. And the Hindu person, he didn't ask any serious question. And Christian said, "Oh, Christianity helps me so
probably he
much
did
in
not
personal."
know.
No, he may have known, but because afterwards I asked him, "Why didn't you ask anything?" So he said, "Look, I have family and I have a job and I can't be controversial." He was quite
Exactly.
honest.
Same point. Money. It's all about money there, right there.
When I went once to in Delhi, there was, at that time I could ask a question, but in Delhi there was no chance to ask questions. And at the end, when we went out, we got a bag full of Muslim literature of this person who recently died. I forgot now his name. Ahmadullah, or I forgot. who doesn't use Allah, but he uses God always. Anyway, a lot of how glorious the Quran is and so on. But Hindus, I started once an article writing. I was at an interfaith dialogue. The Christians praised Christianity. Sorry. The Muslims praised Islam, and the Christians praised Christianity and Islam. Did you get it?
Yes, I got it. I got it. See, I go to many interfaith conferences. The biggest challenge that I have seen over there. So I went to one interfaith conference in Washington D.C. and since then I decided not to go to any interfaith conference. This forum is much better conference for me than interfaith conference. Over there, a Christian was given 1 hour, a Muslim was given 45 minutes, and when my term came, only 15 minutes were left. And then I told the public organizers that why I had the maximum to speak because they were all doing garbage politics only. Because for Muslims it was all about Palestine and Kashmir. For Christians it was only about the Jesus and the 12 apostles. That's what they spoke on that. And I had the maximum because I wanted to refute. So in 15 minutes I had to say Vadanti Tattva Vedas Tattvam Vajganam Bradvayam Brahmeti Paramatmiti Bhagwaniti Shabdete. Because I had written two Bhagavad Gita translations I've done. One is the Hindu Bible for Americans and for the Gita for Indians. Because the Hindus from India were opposing the maximum. Because in America, by the time you finish the word Bhagavad Gita, they say, what? 5 times they'll ask you. And they'll say, do you have a Bible? So for them, I said, okay, for you, I'm giving specially the Hindu Bible. And that was my topic of presentation. So the theology is completely like when it compared to Sanatan Dharma, the Abrahamic theology is like a kindergarten studies, A B C D, like a purely moral education, which has nothing, which not even touches the soul. Now, coming to your last point, first of all, I want to thank Arif ji for promoting Gita very strongly. I really thank you for that, and Purnima ji for organizing this. So Arif ji is on record here. What a wonderful way to promote it. And the Hindu weakness is which you are worried and the dishonesty. You hit the nail actually when you said they are dishonest, and I totally agree with you. They are dishonest because first of all, most of the Hindus will not be able to tell you how many shloka in Bhagavad Gita. They cannot tell you. They will not be able to tell you how many chapters in Bhagavad Gita. They will not be able to tell you how many shlokas in Ramayana. They will not be able to tell you how many shlokas in Mahabharata. They will not be able to distinguish between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. They will not be able to tell you what is the difference between Vedanta Sutra and Veda. This is the basic crux of the problem. And the reason is the Indian education system. Indian education system is designed to produce hatred for Hindus or to demean it. On top of it, you have the media, which is Bollywood, which is one of the biggest dangers to the Hindu society. Bollywood, they only produce movies to sell in Middle Eastern countries and to Indian Muslims, because most of the Indian Muslims cannot hug a woman openly because they will be have 25 Islamic laws working against them. So they remove the frustration of the mind by watching a Bollywood movie. This is what is happening, and that is what sells in Pakistan. Like if you look at the many of the movies produced, Bhaiya, Bhaijan, this Jan, and which is big comical. So somewhere it is a duty of Indians to take over their culture in their own hands and protect it, because the Varnashram has four Varna, and the most important one we always forget is Kshatriya, which is the duty of intelligent people to create Kshatriya whose work is to protect them from hurt. And that's why you'll see pogroms in Bengal, pogroms in Kashmir, pogroms everywhere. Hindus have been wiped out from Kashmir, from Pakistan. Mahabharat was spoken in Pakistan, Takshila. It's the ancient land of Hindus. And in my one of my books, One Arrow, One Kill, I've actually accurately documented where Sugriva went in search for Sita. He completely west of Karachi, over there. So all these things have not been told, and people like us, and I think that now people are more Hindus are speaking openly and questioning openly also, and that is a good thing. And so in next 5 to 10 years, any government who doesn't speak honestly is not going to be elected, whether they are having a BJP flag or no flag.
When you said education, how is it that India allows Christians to teach Hindu children when Christians actually, if they are good Christians, look down on Hindu children? Just
See,
one. This is
yeah,
like such issues are there, no? And
Indian
this do not address openly. We just say, well, Christians are also good. Of course, they are good people. I mean, this I don't mean. Many Christians are good people. Many Muslims are good people, and they are not.
Maria, you have to look at the Constitution of India. Constitution of India, Indian Police Act, they are colonial. 1920 Indian Police Act is still goes on. And the Constitution of India, which was copied from America, B.R. Ambedkar did also a copy paste job, and which was copied from USA. It has been employed in India with only Hindus do not have the right to preach their own religion in all Indian schools. And so I wanted to scream in the ears of Narendra Modi and say, you are a Hindu leader, you are not doing these basic changes. And your education minister, Prakash Javadekar, was such an idiot. And I can tell you publicly over there, because that man did not do what he was supposed to do. The first education minister of India was a person who was Islamic, and he only wanted to impose Islam. The second was the Islamic, only wanted to do Islam. Actually, Hindus never got freedom until 2014. 2014 is the first time India became independent. And now that's why everybody is worried to throw him out so that Hindus can again become slaves. But that man has done enough in 10 years. It's not going to happen now. And only thing now remaining is that Hindus do what Israelis do. And this is the last. See, when you suppress a society so much, it's like a spring. If you suppress it so much and you release it, it's a very violent reaction. That is what happened with Hindus. And you'll see that coming out. But my point is, not a single Hindu government of India has done what is needed for the education in India. Neither the current education minister is doing. New education policy is an old wine in a new bottle. New education policy has the same old authors, Romila Thapar, all those idiots over there still teaching it. Now, so when were Hindus independent? Till now, they are not. And so it also shows in Bengal elections right now, and Bengal is a classical case in point. And Purnima ji, you can cut me off anytime you want.
No,
So,
that's good. I just want to clarify a couple of things. One
please.
is big biggies you talked about. Look, I'm also wearing something, but I'm not demeaning Hindus at all. The entire effort here today is to understand where there is disconnect and why it was imposed on Hindus. So that's
No,
one I
Purnima ji,
wanted to
your
clarify.
bindi is very beautiful. I'm talking about those bindis are big in the forehead. It's like it looks like a gunpoint mark, big in the middle.
I know what you're talking about. I know. Yeah, we have to make sure that we don't allow the tappers of our community to propagate anti-Hindu narratives anymore. I think we
Correct.
have woken up right now, and Thapur will go down, and of course several others. Now, one question that Maria Ji you asked: what do we do about this? I think you mentioned you wanted to write a letter or writing a letter to PM.
I have written. I have
Say again.
written. I
Yeah,
have
perfect.
written.
Perfect. Please share with us, and I think we can certainly share with all of our people over here your good work. And
In fact, I heard some people maybe in Canada and America may want to take it up. Maybe I can share it with you also, and you can connect.
I think that'll be a wonderful initiative. Adiji, go ahead. You wanted to speak about the Hindu politician, the Prakash ji as well. I don't understand, after being in the position, second term winning, a wonderful winning with majority, we don't have any changes in the NCRT, in Indian education system. What is it that holding their hands behind their back?
Maria gave such a wonderful answer there. Dishonesty. They win the elections on Hindu issues, and they do not do anything for where they belong to. Actually, they become the bigger enemies. The only prime minister who actually was the best for India, and he was not from BJP, he was PV Narasimha Rao. PV Narasimha Rao had done all the corrections, including the education department, where he was the first person to institute a body for historical correction of India. Now, the BJP first term, they had uh, two education ministers, Smriti Irani, who is a wonderful friend of mine, and the second one was Prakash Javadekar, who I met him many times, and I asked him the only one question: when will you resign? Because that's the only question I could ask him, because he was the one who said, like, when you see, the thing is, the most important, these people, they forget karma and dharma. The if you are in the position of power, at that time only you can perform good deeds, otherwise you do not perform good deeds. So the American academic problems in the US that we face, you and I face all the time here, is because the Indian government doesn't say anything. If Indian government was to de-recognize Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, and Wharton, all these universities, and say and tell them that what you're teaching is bogus and useless, all these universities will shut down. 60% of the revenue comes from India. So India pays America to abuse them, and India pays all the Christians to abuse them. In India, if you go to any school, the law has not changed since 1920. The Indian Police Act, if you preach Hinduism, a Muslim or a Christian has the right to put you in jail. I think Mariaji doesn't know that. Okay, you can go to the police station, and if you see a Hindu preaching, you can complain to the police, that guy will be in jail. This is the condition of India today. And if you're a Hindu, and if you talk about Hinduism in the schools, then Muslims have understood the law very well, and they're using it every day. And their protectors in Congress party, who are also Hindus, they have sold themselves out to the Western money. It's all the money working over there, because they want to be in the power only for money. So the political corruption in India is very high against Sanatan Dharma. You and I can say whatever we want, but it ultimately the politicians have to rule. So we can write books, we can talk, we can write articles, we can educate people, we can do these kind of shows. But unless somebody acts who is elected, what can you and I can do? And so that's why I was telling you that the Western governments, like American government, has USCIRF, which is a very Christian body, Judeo-Christian body, which only talks to protect the interests of Christians and Jews, not even Muslims. Now there is now they're adding Muslims to that, so there'll be all the Abrahamic religions will be protected. Sanatan Dharma has not a single government which is protecting it. Our leaders have big, big beards, big, big mustaches, but there is nothing after the end of the day. And so that's why you see other people getting emboldened in Bengal, emboldened in Kashmir, emboldened in Kerala, and in their own country, people are refugees. So the ultimately it all boils into some action, karma. Bhagavad Gita says very one good line: Yad yad achariti shreshtas tatta deve tarojana. So the leaders have to act in that capacity responsibly. If they don't do that, dharma rakshati rakshita, dharma ranti evacha. If they do not protect dharma, dharma will finish them.
So, what do we do to frame the narratives and work with Harvard Divinity School who's lecturing Hindus? What do we do?
Purnima ji, your question is very valid. And while she's getting connected, unless Indian Education Ministry bans and tells Harvard that what you're teaching against Hinduism is not right, you and I sitting here cannot do that because we are still part of the system here. It is the knowledge of India which has to be opposed by the officials of India.
Well, today, what YouTube or Google or Twitter is doing is not getting rejected by the officials.
Yes.
The education system in NCRT is messed up. They are teaching Rama came as a roamer. That's where Rome came in the phone. And then they're saying Ayodhya really didn't exist, and all such interesting things has been inserted in the educational books K through 12. And you talking about Bollywoods in absolutely unregulated, where they come up with Radhe who's getting released in Eid, and Lakshmi who's a transgender portraying our one of the deities and devis. And then you have Patal Lok. All these movies are coming. I don't know what the central boards of film in India really doing, but who is sitting in these boards? Who is controlling? Is it Daud, money from the Middle East, and the folks who sitting there is actually being paid by those? What is happening? And everything is literally taken over. Media is taken over. And if there is a man, for example, a situation, if the victim is Muslim, media will actually tell the victim's information, disclose the name, and they'll also say Muslim man or woman got attacked or things like that. But if the victim is Hindu, the headline is going to be man. And then if the perpetrator is Muslim, there is no disclosure of who the perpetrator is. But if the perpetrator is Hindu, you will see information about Hindu men acted, etc., like that. So it all depends on the religion. It all depends on the incident. It all depends on what the media is trying to portray also. They're not literally hiding it, but when they're communicating, the wordings and narratives is different. Everything has been taken. Tell us, what do we do? It's not about just Hindus in India. Here in America also today, we are almost facing the same issues. As you know, the caste issues have been introduced in Santa Clara County. So tell us about that.
So, wonderful question, Purnima ji. Number one, the government in India is non-existent. Number one, there is no governance at any level. There is no protection of Hindus by the state. And I would even go to the level of the state is actually persecuting Hindus in India.
Well, I'm listening, and it's quite it's a learning session for me also, because Aditya speaks very openly. And yeah, I also agree that in India, Hindus are the most persecuted community, and at the same time, Western media, which is controlled by left, social media and media, is promoting a narrative that in India there is an extremist Hindutva government and Hindu nationalist or Hindu extremist. And we had very much expectations when this current government started, with Yogi ji in UP and Amit Shah ji and Modi ji, and we were having high expectations that now there will be big changes and all these things. But honestly speaking, after this Bengal election, when calculating things, when going into recent few years research, what has this government done for Hindus? Virtually nothing. They have nothing to change. Now, Ayodhya was a court decision. Then this Kashmir, Article 370, and all other things were political. The basic issues of Hindus or appeasement has not stopped. Hajj houses are being built everywhere in India. The subsidies are going. The reservations are going on. Nothing has changed. As Aditya said that if a Hindu preaches Hinduism, if he is persecuted. Why not Muslim is persecuted when he is doing tabligh? So yeah, there are so many things has to be done in India, and the high expectations are coming down. And I don't know, if not BJP, then who? Because you cannot expect these things from Congress or the likes of Akhilesh Yadav or Mamta Banerjee or these things. That once in India there was a continuous government of not Congress, not BJP, but an alliance with VP Singh, Chandrasekhar, Dev Gowda, and I.K. Gujral. So at that time, it was an alliance government, and I can see that if BJP fails and these people come, then Hindus will be in more turmoil then.
I think we have lost both Maria ji right now and Adi ji. But there, Maria ji, are you back?
I think I had two GB and it seems they are over. And I tried now to recharge, but I don't find it how I get this booster. So I switched off video. The audio is very broken also.
No problem, Maria ji. So thank you so much for being with us. We will continue the discussion. We look forward to connecting with you, Maria ji. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
Absolutely. I think we have a tremendous amount of issues for Hindus, even in the land of Hindus, which is India. But it is quite clear that the West do not recognize that problem, or they don't want to recognize that problem. Perhaps they know and deliberately dismissing the issue. We have an issue here which has been introduced recently in Santa Clara County in California, introducing or adding caste as a protected category. Now, we have heard a couple of hearings that they have scheduled. Unfortunately, there are some Muslims and Sikhs and even Christians joined to chime in that adding caste is the right thing to do. I'm compelled to ask today, in a situation in the world where caste, cow, and curry has been maligned with Hinduism, and now they are trying to portray Hindus as extremists. Today they are saying that putting caste as a protected category in Santa Clara County is not just going to affect Hindus, it's going to affect all. But I have never heard about caste issues or the maligning Islam with caste before, or even Sikhism, or even Christianity. So you see where we are going. It almost feels like a deliberate attempt is being done, and a narrative and a communication is being set in order to put down the Hindus. And we Hindus are supposed to just keep quiet and go along with their strategy and narrative and then propaganda. So, Aditya, thank you so much for rejoining back. Appreciate that.
Yes.
So, So my observation is today in America, whether it is through Oprah Winfrey or whether it is through NPR or a big large media, we literally everybody knows caste issues is a Hindu issue, whether it is the truth or not. So, Arifji, tell us, why would a Muslim person join the cause and tells it's going to help Muslim community also?
Well, Muslims are hypocrites. You will not find a bigger hypocrite than Muslims. And opportunist, as it is observed famously that where they are in majority, they use all the powers to crush minority. But when they are in minority, they love secularism and they want more rights than majority. So it is purely hypocrisy.
See,
Very
one of the
simple answer.
things, yeah, yeah, Purnima ji, America is suffering from uh, uh, white guilt, and it has been. See, the thing is, what happened in India with the education, the same is happening with America with the education, and so very little people know that 25% of all Muslims in North America are ex-Muslims. 25%, and that is 2017. So the Muslim view that you hear in North America is generally a very minority viewpoint, not a main viewpoint. But these are the highly radical ones. Now, the coming to the our Sanatan Dharma, what point I was saying, and my phone got discharged. Somehow I'm not able to access your link on my iPad. Otherwise, last time it was easy for me. So, but the the point which I was trying to make, especially for India, is or actions that we should take. We have a great question. What actions we should take? Number one is the the entire curriculum in India from K kindergarten to K-12 has to be thrown out in the garbage bin completely. It has only produced non-productive individuals who are always looking to the West. The brilliance of Indians which you have seen in the West is because of their individual brilliance, not by the education system of India. In fact, when I was passing out of engineering from Delhi College of Engineering, now I I rejected everything my professor taught me. I forgot everything, and my main education was Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavad Gita, and that's how I was able to be a successful entrepreneur here. So somewhere we have to reject what we are being taught in India. Indian engineering schools only produce follower engineers. They do not produce innovators because the education system is like that. Unless an Indian engineer comes to the West, he totally gets transformed into a follower to a innovator because the Western education system is without any colonial mindset. Indian education system entirely is to produce low class workers, IT workers, or any worker. So we have to completely change that, and it is the duty of the Indian Education Ministry. See, most of the times people like you and me are fighting so many battles in USA. You know, you are so busy. I cannot thank you enough what you do, and you are so busy, but you still do it on personal risk and everything, which is the work of the government. You know, it is like if you look at Mahabharata and Ramayana, it is a work of the government to protect their citizens. And so practically all the Hindus are in the mercy of Bhagavad Gita and Krishna only. So there is no government supporting us. It's good for us because if we can survive this, that means we can survive anything. And Sanatan Dharma has survived everything so far. So, but the point is the Indian Education Ministry has to de-recognize all the American schools, Western schools, British schools on teaching Indian history. They have to sit down. There are a lot of traditions in India. They have to sit down with them and re-establish the syllabus. New education policy is just the old wine in a new bottle. I like what they are doing is instead of 3-year degree, they're creating 4-year degree. It's again a foolishness. Our Gurukul system was Arjun was a warrior and a fully educated man at 14. Sri Ram was a fully educated man at 14. So keeping students longer in the university means declining the economic value of that person's contribution to the society. It's very logical. अगर आप 40 साल तक पढ़ते रहेंगे तो काम कब करेंगे? My question to them is, a boy at the age of 14 is an adult, almost an adult. That was Arjun also at the age of 14 when he met Dronacharya was an adult. Sri Ram at the age of 15, he was went to Vishwamitra and to there. So the whole point कि पूरा जिंदगी हम पढ़ाते ही रहते हैं, फिर भी बोलते we are learning. See, the point is that we have to come back to the Gurukul system, which was far more scientific, and our education system should be finishing at 15. And if somebody wants to do the research, now earlier I tell you one example, Mahabharata time also there used to be research. There were scientists, like you mentioned, Sushruta Samhita. Sushruta is the originator of medicinal science in the modern world. But do you think in the Mahabharata's time there were no doctors? The whole armies were fighting, there were no doctors. Ramayana, were there no doctors? Doctors are always there. Operation, ऐसा तो नहीं हड्डियां टूटती नहीं थी पहले, हड्डियां तब भी टूटती थी, आज भी टूटती है. तो कोई गिर गया, गलती से गिर गया, उससे वॉर में नहीं. तो do you think there were no treatment for them? Don't you think human diseases were not there, viruses were not there, vaccines were not there? शुरू से है. Shushruta just documented it 1400, 1500 years back. So the point I'm trying to say is that we have been made so illogical in our own approach that we are now, and when we expect a change from an elected government who is supposed to represent us, or the Indians now, you and I are represented by different government here, but they are not making any change. Now, take for example Biden. What a strong demand of Indian Americans was to look at the Indian education system. Neither Trump did it, nor Biden did it, because they don't have the powers. But if the Indian government says, I will not send you any more Indian students unless you make some changes, I'm telling you, America will fall over backward, because you know how much money they earn from India? $47 billion a year. $47 billion a year. 60% of all these foreign students coming to India, to America, are either Chinese or Indians. Most of the Chinese students are sponsored by the Chinese government. Indian students come on their own merit. So if that is stopped, then everything will change. And I think, and that also brings to the question of identity. The stronger identity of Indians, it will not be on how beautifully they represent the Western culture. The stronger identity of the Indians will be how beautifully they represent their own culture, which is based on Sanatan Dharma. And believe me, let me tell you, and I'll make it a very loud choice. The world peace can only come through Sanatan Dharma. It will not come through Quran, it may not come through Bible, it will not come through Torah. Because all three of them faith have been fighting ever since they came into existence. And wherever they have gone, there is only fights. You can take any region of the world, for example, any region. Wherever they have gone, there is a fight. Either Christians are fighting with Muslims, Muslims are fighting with Jews, Jews are fighting with Christians. Jews. Did you know that the creation of Palestine was opposed by Vatican and Islamic groups both? Arabs had also opposed it, Vatican had also opposed it, Christians had also opposed it. All three had opposed it. And in fact, the most communist, leftist, Jawaharlal Nehru also opposed it. India was one of the signatories against Israel, creation of Israel. And they do not see what Israel has gone through to bring that land. And today, when they call it a Zionist movement, it's a very derogatory term actually. But the word Zionist was Herschel Wiesler. That's the name of the guy. Herschel Wiesler, he's the one who wrote first an article over there. And that is just to protect the Jewish pride. They had to create a Zionist kind of government, and where it is purely based on non-religious aspect of Judaism. It is actually based on Sanatan Dharma. That if you protect us, if you attack us, however hard you will attack us, we will attack you back. And I'm sure at one point Sanatan Dharma will also come to that point, and that time it will be different scenario. But till that time, we have to depend on the mercy, but we have to pray. We are at the mercy of Krishna right now. No one else. Nobody is protecting us. Bhagavad Gita is the only shelter we have right now.
We are closing our session today. We spoke so much about so many different aspects, but there's so much to discuss. And thank you so much, Arif ji, Maria ji, Adi ji, for giving your valuable time and your insights, your wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.